It's time to move on to our first panel of the day. We've prepared a variety of questions on pressing topics that we will be posing to our panelists. The panel topic will look at how framing the right mindset is key to inclusive design. So, jumping right straight into our first speaker, it's Mare Heinluht. Mare is the Global Diversity and Inclusion Manager at Bolt. She is dedicated to helping organizations create more inclusive and fairer workplaces. Her career in diversity and inclusion started at Swedbank, where at first she led diversity and inclusion at the Estonian level, but she would grow to lead the function at Swedbank's Baltic Group level. So we can be sure she knows a thing about diversity and inclusion. Mare also provides trainings and speaks at conferences like she is today.
Joining Mare, let's welcome to the discussion panel Rimvydas Petkus. Rimvydas is a board member at Lithuanian Software Testing Qualifications Board and the lead QA engineer at Zenitech. Besides being a part of LSTQB community, Rimvydas has worked in the quality assurance field for quite some time now and has navigated himself between different QA roles. With experience in various aspects of quality assurance, he is here to share his view about digital accessibility and how it should become a part of modern software development. I'm very excited about this panel because the panelists cover both the technical side and the human side while discussing the right mindset as a key.
There's also a pan-Baltic event with an Estonian and a Lithuanian all being broadcast out of Latvia.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Okay, I believe that we can jump straight
into it. First question is for Mare. Mare, what does inclusive design mean to your everyday life at Bolt?
Thank you for the question. Hi, everybody that's watching. What does inclusive design mean to me? Well, in my work as the diversity and inclusion manager, it's to raise actually people's awareness on these type of topics, like raise people's awareness on diversity and inclusion, bias, and how that affects our life experience and the decisions we make every day. Starting from, if you're a leader, if you're a manager, what kind of decisions do you make about your people? Are you fair in your leadership? But also if you are, designing products or processes or programs for customers, then are you doing that in an inclusive way? Are you making sure that everybody can use your product? Or are you, inherently, accidentally, unintentionally excluding some groups of people that actually can't use the product? And that is never a wise business decision, is it? So
no.
We can agree.
That's the kind of mindset I try to foster in the company.
Okay. And Rimvydas, tell us, how does inclusive design reflect in your field of work in LSTQB?
Hello, everyone. LSTQB, actually, I'm wearing two hats now when it comes to digital accessibility. One of them is Lithuanian Software Qualifications Board. This is LSTQB organization, and another one is a Zenitech company. So as LSTQB, we are a young organization established in 2023, and we work closely with LSTQB as a global organization, and we are giving people some opportunities to get access to official LSTQB training providers. So it opens doors to people with common interest in software testing, but at the same time, we are also very diverse in this area from our experience, knowledge, and areas of interest. So we are much involved into many different activities within LSTQB, and as you know, this organization is about training, about certification, and when it comes to digital accessibility and the organization LSTQB or LSTQB, we should be talking about usability, because usability is a syllabus which was released 6 years ago, and accessibility is a very small part of it. But during that time, during this half of the decade, I noticed that the demand in the market increased a lot. And I think, from the knowledge that I have now, from the experience, that it's a really big thing in quality assurance industry it will be a really big thing. And in overall people inclusion, keeping in mind the technological progress and continuously increasing demands, which are very much impacted by governing bodies and legal requirements. So within our organization, digital accessibility is a very relevant topic, and it's our area of interest. And this is why we are looking forward to collaborating as a young organization with experts in this area. So the more enthusiasts we get involved, the better prepared materials we can have and more accurate reflection on digital accessibility. At the same time, I work at Zenitech company where we build many different web and app projects for various industries. So I kind of lived through this 5-6 years, and I saw how it changed. And it's I can tell that it's definitely the demand of digital accessibility and inclusiveness overall increased tremendously in the market. So 5 to 6 years ago, it was a very different story. The clients that we used to work just talked about, but it was more like nice to have thing. And I would say now that everyone is really way more aware about it. And it's a very good and positive change. So for us, making accessible products is a very our everyday life.
Yes, and soon enough it will be a must thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to you, Mare. A question that tackles straight up to the crux of the panel discussion. In your opinion, what is considered the right mindset in regards to inclusive design?
Yeah, I think this answer has many layers or many facets to it. I think it starts with understanding that design is never neutral. You, as a designer, you come to the workplace with your own life experience and your own biases, and there's no way to strip yourself of them. You can only become aware of that. So I think this like self-awareness of just accepting the fact that as human beings, we are all biased and we cannot foresee or just decide to imagine what another person would need. I think that's really important to just be a bit humble about that and understand that we cannot presume everybody's life experience and needs. So what that means is actually we need to be data-based. We need to talk to different kinds of people. If we are building databases on user experience and needs, then we need to make sure that the database is actually reflective of the population and the different kinds of people in that population. I mean, we have so many examples from the past how design has been very non-inclusive, like the way that security measures in cars were only designed for men, and women were much more likely, much bigger likelihood of serious harm, or how the software that recognizes skin cancer recognized it way less on darker skin types because it was only trained on light skin types. So those are just real life, quite tragic examples how non-inclusive design can be really harmful. So I would also add the element of responsibility to the mix, that if you are a designer who designs solutions and products for everybody to use, then you actually could do harm. So be responsible of the fact and recognize that it is your responsibility to think of all the different people and their needs.
Yeah, so I guess taking the mantle of responsibility and also making sure you're aware of any of your own biases to make sure those don't make their way into any product or solution you work with are sort of very key to make sure you're setting yourself up in that right mindset there.
Yes, yeah. and data and collecting
and data and lots of data.
Diverse data sets. Yes.
Yes. Rimvydas, as Mare mentioned, this right mindset has multiple layers, we should say. And do you think that this mindset is something that can be gained through education, or how?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, because I think that there's no right answer to that. But in general, I would say that consciousness and the awareness of digital accessibility become part of the foundation now for modern software development. And this is mindset that we must have to meet the market demand. And I can hardly imagine an ambitious project without digital accessibility in mind. And when we talk about accessible products, one of the key aspects in the mindset itself is the awareness that disabilities are not inabilities. So technologies help many people to achieve great things. And this is, as Mare said, it's to being responsible. So this is our responsibility and in a way our privilege to empower those technologies, those solutions that we have now to serve us in the best possible way. And there are many people around the world who are disabled in many different ways, but still manage to achieve great things in life. So for us, I think it could serve as inspiration, and it could give us a confidence that things can be done, even if there are no convenient ways of doing this. And naturally, it makes us realize that there is a better way. And even if this way is not a very convenient one, but it's important that it's the right one. So I truly believe that there is a different paths how people can choose how to develop their mindset. And one of the ways is the mindset in general is like a combination of knowledge and experiences. So you can, for example, in general, you can get education by going to school, but you can choose other options like self-learning, homeschooling, whatever. So, but there are some systematic and structured ways of education where they are created because it was identified that some learning principles can be applied to the majority of people. But as I said, knowledge and experience comes from life, from the people that we are surrounded by, but we can choose the way we get this knowledge to ourselves. So the proper education, I think, whatever path you choose is the right way to gain this mindset. It's just a matter how you choose to learn.
Yeah,
If you prefer like a well-structured information, I would say that maybe taking official course, maybe even get certified if that satisfies you, is the way to go. But there are other opportunities as well.
Yeah,
so
I think that maybe through education you can be told about this mindset, but you can actually gain it through life.
Yeah. So those are two elements that I think that you need to be willing to learn something and be thirsty to just get this education in whatever path you choose. And then there are life experiences that you get. So without life experience in education, it's not a mindset yet. You need to experience it.
Okay, I think that's very informative. I guess I'll go back to Mare. Tackling awareness. Do you believe there is enough awareness brought to the issue that not all companies are using inclusive design or putting a lot of resources into it?
I think the awareness is growing. Is there enough of it? Not yet, I think, but I see many structural changes or drivers that increase this knowledge. Regulation, obviously. I mean, in this sense, I'm a fan of regulations. I know they get a lot of hate also, but I think many of the major regulations are nudging us in the right direction that we need to take as a collective. So definitely fan of the Accessibility Directive. But also tenders. So when government tenders, for example, require accessibility or inclusive design from companies, that is a very strong incentive to take that on. Also, any sorts of supplier requirements that you yourself can impose on companies that provide services to you on accessibility or inclusion of any kind is I think, a great tool for us to take collective responsibility. I mean, all of us in this ecosystem of companies and public sphere, like we all need to nudge each other and ourselves and keep us accountable. So I'm definitely happy to see more and more of the design community itself talking about this. I mean, it's kind of inescapable with the accessibility directive, but still, so I say we're moving in the right direction for sure.
And those legal changes will be a big, I guess, push of that, and really bringing that to the forefront now.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And Rimvydas, from your experience, in what ways can assumptions and personal values limit a designer's ability to create inclusive designs?
It's a tricky question.
Sorry, we don't hear you.
I'm very sorry for.
There we are.
Did you hear the question?
Yeah. It was in what ways assumptions and values limit their abilities, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So from my experience, personal assumptions and values have a very big impact on the ability to create inclusive design and make products digital accessible. Well, generally speaking, people can have a very different opinions about inclusiveness in life overall. So the key element here is that being inclusive is actually one of your personal values. It is very hard to do something that you do not completely agree with or believe in. So there are people who challenge others by being very extreme on inclusiveness topics. And in this way, inclusiveness cannot be limitless, I would say. But there are some boundaries everywhere in life. Otherwise, it's chaos. It's like this hurricane that we had in US last night that could not be controlled and caused so much damage.
Yeah.
So it is important to have values such as acceptance, empathy, open-mindedness, and awareness of differences, as well as the employees' values must match with company values, because it opens up employees to be a very true themselves and boost their creativity. So I can reflect on similar cases in accessibility testing. So if a person who is testing software does not believe that it's important and does not feel like in a role of a person with disabilities, so then it's just another boring task to complete, and there's a risk of missing something very important. So accessibility testing is a pretty different from just doing a functional testing. It's way more different area. So it's a separate field. And you know that it's often required for testers to be creative and think outside the box. So here it is. Making sure that product is accessible is definitely a chance to step into someone else's shoes and be creative.
Okay, so you believe that accessibility testing is creative?
Oh, yes, it is.
That's good to hear. Going back to you, Mare, I think it's fair to say Bolt's quite fortunate to have you as part of their team, but not all companies have diversity and inclusion specialists present. So how can organizations encourage a mindset of inclusivity amongst their design teams, especially if they don't have someone to help them implement that?
Yeah, I think what you can always do, I think, somebody needs to have that light bulb moment of, oh, we need to actually have attention on this. So if you're a leader of a design team or any kind of product design organization, then if you don't have the capacity to, run this yourself, assign somebody the responsibility for accessibility and inclusive design in your organization. Task them with self-development on the area. Task them with bringing their findings, their aha moments to the team, and make it a regular thing, not just a one-off. You cannot really change anybody's mind or habits or attitudes in one session or one day, but make it a habit, at your your regular quarterly, whatever meetings, have a presentation, have something on accessibility that you can educate everybody on. And another thing for leaders, I think, is to seek talent with diverse experiences, both in terms of representation, having people from different backgrounds in your team, maybe also actually people with some sort of disabilities. I mean, Microsoft and some other companies have like quite big in-house accessibility teams that are consisting of people with disabilities themselves. And also look for educational backgrounds, for example, in anthropology or social sciences or behavioral psychology that can really help you diversify the skill set of your entire team by having these different people in it. So
That's really
could be
useful.
my
I guess
suggestion.
a smaller follow-up to that. When someone in the company does have that light bulb moment, do you have any advice for them on how they'd go about sort of spreading the message, getting more people on board and actively pushing that change? How would they start the transition?
I think you just need to go and infect others with your enthusiasm. Like, you know, equip yourself with the interesting facts and findings and data and research and go and tell people about it. Like make them see what you are seeing. I mean, it's the, you know, classic 101 of any kind of persuasion. Like have your facts, be enthusiastic about it yourself, and and bring others along on the journey. And of course, it helps if you aim the higher up, right? Because any kind of like major shift in mindset or attitudes, it needs to be supported from the people at the top of the company. So try to get them on board.
All right.
Thank you.
And Rimvydas, maybe you have a comment regarding the main obstacles and differences between implementing inclusive design to an already existing product versus a new product, which is only in its early planning stage.
Yeah, I think the better, the earlier you start, the better overall. And if you are in a position where everybody within your team agrees to follow inclusive design principles, it's so much easier to develop a product. And be aware that it's not only so saying that you have the mindset, it's not only that you are developing the product, but you keep developing and maintaining your mindset as well along with the product, which is in the long run is a key to success. But as we know, complexity comes with collaboration between different roles. So there are product people, designers, developers, testers. At some point, there might be situations when some will start pushing harder and there will be some reasons to have the compromises. But when we talk about accessibility in a product, everyone must have this in mind when designing it, that the process is pretty time consuming, as it has to be well aligned and there's a lot of prep work to do. So designs must be inclusive. They have to be usability tested, and they need to be product management approved and shared with development team with accessibility in mind. So there should be some guidelines how to develop, how to test, etc. So I would say that the best approach is to start early and to have accessibility expert in a team right from the beginning, as it helps to save so much design, development, and testing time. I've seen cases where some parts had to be totally refactored due to limitations in assisting technologies that were not thought through, or that designs had to be redone because they were not tested before earlier, and then they didn't meet accessibility standards. So I would say, I would probably summarize it like this, that if you are creating inclusive design and developing digital accessible product, if you do it in the beginning, it's like a mindset-driven approach. I'd say that it's cheaper one, but more challenging and to adopt, because you need to make changes in people's mindsets. And people, not technologies, are the most complex component. But if you're implementing it to an already existing product, it's more like a demand-based approach, a more expensive one, but depending on the product specifics, it might seem sometimes a simpler option for business people.
Okay, very useful. So starting early is the trick to, I guess, making it a much more streamlined process overall.
I think that we already spoke with Eviana Panula regarding this, that it's actually cheaper, of course,
It is
to
cheaper in
implement
the long run.
accessibility to a new product rather than an existing one. But
Yeah.
Josh?
Moving on to Mare. What role does user feedback play in fostering inclusive design mindsets?
Feedback. Well, I think feedback is vital in many situations in the corporate world. But I mean, user feedback, of course. I mean, just looking at our experience at Bolt, user feedback is vital for us to improve our products in all aspects, including inclusive design. And I just remember this quite recent example of when we had we launched an app update where we significantly changed something in the user interface, which made it so that people with screen readers couldn't choose the category of the of the car anymore. And well, we were immediately contacted by many customers with this issue, and we could solve it quite quickly with the next release. So that's how it goes. Yeah, there are these small concrete examples, and then there's this more comprehensive approach that sort of trickles through consistent feedback over time, where you're going to need to do some sort of major changes, not just changing one button or something. So yeah, feedback is paramount, but also feedback not just from customers or users, but the feedback that you get from your colleagues and your peers is very important. It's important that in a design team, we are okay to tell each other that, hey, I think what you designed there or what you created there, I think it's not very inclusive or accessible from that perspective, right? You need to have that sort of an openness in a team to address these things and not pretend that everything we create is just ideal from the get-go. So that would be my answer to that.
Okay, actually what crossed my mind is I wanted to ask whether you have heard about these perspective taking and perspective getting methods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have, and I completely agree with this perspective taking or asking method, in terms that we cannot imagine ourselves into the shoes of every person in this world and their needs. We just can't. So let's go and ask the people what they need rather than imagine what they might need. We don't know everything. Yeah.
Good.
All right, and
I guess as a short final question to you both, in what ways can inclusive design contribute to social equity and fairness as a bigger picture? It's just a final remark from both of you. I guess Mare can start.
Yeah, another very concrete example. The population of the world is getting older. I mean, in the Western world, at least, we're really getting older. We're going to live longer. That means we're going to spend a longer time with all sorts of physical ailments. So the elderly people also need to have access to digital solutions. How else will they pay their rent or pay their utilities or do things that they need to do just to survive in society? So that is just one concrete example why accessibility and inclusive design is necessary.
Wonderful. And from Rimvydas, any closing remarks from you as well?
Well, I'd say that it serves it's like in a loop. So all the social society serves business, and business serves society. So it's in a loop. So if you are in from business perspective looking at it, it's the broader user audience you manage to have as a business, the better products and services you must provide in order to keep them and provide best services. It means that those experiences kind of helps your business actually to grow, and it's vice versa. The better you reflect differences in the society and differences in your product itself, the better likely you are to keep your audience, with you. So it's a very looped thing, and I think that what happens in society, with all the mindset of people, all the awareness is helping business, and business is kind of helping society as well.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for now.
Yes, thank you for
Thank you so much
sharing
for
your
being here.
opinions regarding this actually broad but very important topic.
About saying, right? So it's been a pleasure to have you both with us today, and we do hope to see you in the future. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.